Welcome back, everyone. Ready for another deep dive into Rumi's world?
Always ready for some Rumi.
This is, can you believe it, our 20th deep dive into his work.
Time flies when you're exploring the mysteries of the universe, right?
Absolutely. And, for anyone who's just joining us for the first time, we're going way beyond just those beautiful poems.
We're digging deep into the ideas, those mind-blowing concepts that Rumi explored.
And today, we've got some extra special help.
Oh yeah, we're tapping into the minds of some real Rumi experts for this one.
We've got these recordings of two Iranian philosophy scholars, Dr. Dinani and Dr. Larijani, as they unpack some of Rumi's toughest ideas.
And let me tell you, even these experts get stumped sometimes. Rumi was really pushing the boundaries of language and thought.
Oh, before we get too far, I should mention, these conversations were originally in Farsi.
Right, so there might be some things that get lost in translation. We apologize for any discrepancies.
But we'll do our best to capture the essence of what they're discussing.
Absolutely, it's worth the effort.
Okay, so one thing that always gets me is how Rumi himself grappled with language,
Yeah, it's amazing how aware he was of the limitations of words.
He was a master with language, but he also knew that words could only take us so far.
That's so true. It's like he's using words to point towards something that can't really be fully captured by words.
Right. It's like trying to describe the ocean using a teaspoon of water.
Exactly. You get a sense of it, but you're not really experiencing the vastness.
Dr. Dinani actually talks about this idea of two categories, events and reality.
Oh, I like that. Tell me more.
It's like we spend so much of our lives caught up in the waves, right?
Yeah, the everyday events, the ups and downs, all that stuff.
Exactly. But Rumi's urging us to connect with the ocean itself, the underlying reality.
To go deeper than just the surface level.
Right. It makes you think about how often we get stuck focusing on those little things.
Yeah, and we miss that bigger picture.
Totally. We're getting caught up in the black and white when there's this whole spectrum of color out there.
There's this one audio clip that just blows my mind every time I hear it.
Oh, yeah. What is it?
Rumi actually says, and I'm paraphrasing here, but it's like he's saying he needs a whole new language to describe what he's experiencing.
Wow, a whole new language. That's wild.
Right. Even after all these incredible insights, he's still feeling limited by words.
Imagine having experiences so profound that you can't even find words to describe them.
I know. Makes you realize just how deep this stuff goes.
And, speaking of challenges, here's where things get even more interesting.
Go on.
Rumi's pen name, Khamush, it means silent.
Right, I remember.
And the sixth book of his masterpiece, the Masnavi, it just ends abruptly in silence.
Oh, that's right. What's going on there?
Well, Dr. Larijani suggests that maybe this silence isn't about emptiness.
Interesting.
Maybe it's about knowing too much. Like, he reached a point where words just couldn't do it justice.
Like, I've tried to explain, but you have to experience this for yourself.
Right. Words can only go so far. You have to take the leap.
It's about going beyond the intellectual, taking that direct experience.
We often think of Rumi as, this incredibly loving, gentle soul.
Oh, absolutely. He definitely had that side.
But Dr. Larijani pointed out there's also this, fierce side to his idea of love.
Fierce, how so?
He saw love as this force that burns away all the falsehoods.
Oh, I see what you mean. It's not all hearts and flowers.
Right. It's about this love that purifies, refines, transforms.
Powerful stuff.
I think we've all experienced that on some level,
Yeah, definitely.
Those times when love forces you to face those uncomfortable truths about yourself.
Or let go of things that you thought you needed.
Right. Dr. Dinani is saying it's through that process of burning away what's not essential.
That we can really connect with who we truly are.
With that divine spark inside.
That's beautiful.
And this connection, it's not just limited to us humans either.
Oh, right. Rumi talks about mountains dancing, doesn't he?
He does. Of course, he's not being literal.
I hope not. I haven't seen any dancing mountains lately.
What he's talking about is that constant state of change that's happening all around us all the time.
And we miss it because we're so focused on what's static, what seems unchanging.
It's like we're looking at a snapshot when there's a whole movie unfolding.
We're missing the dynamism, the constant flux of life.
Yeah, Rumi's inviting us to embrace that change.
To see it as a source of wonder, not fear.
So before we move on to the next part, I was thinking,
Yeah.
You're really fascinated by human perception, right?
Oh, definitely. It's one of my favorite topics. Why do you ask?
Well, Rumi talks about these extra senses.
Extra senses. Tell me more.
He describes things like intuition and empathy,
I love those.
a deep appreciation for beauty, a sense of wonder, and the ability to see the divine in everything.
Wow. It's like he's describing a whole new way of experiencing the world.
It is. So I'm curious, which of these extra senses are you most drawn to?
Oh, that's a tough one. I'm gonna have to think about that.
It's a good question to ponder.
It is. It makes you think about where we should be focusing our attention to really grasp what Rumi's getting at.
It all comes back to Dr. Dinani's concept of events versus reality.
Ah, yes. How so?
Think about it. Each event, even those really mundane ones, can be seen as a glimpse of that deeper reality.
Each event is a doorway. I like that.
So if every event's a doorway to something bigger, how does that change how you see things?
Even the simple things. It definitely makes you look beyond the surface.
To find the extraordinary in the ordinary.
Yeah, there's a hidden depth to everything, just waiting to be discovered.
And that's such a beautiful thought to hold on to.
It really is.
It's like Rumi's giving us a whole new lens to view our lives through.
And this is just the beginning. We're just scratching the surface.
There's so much more to uncover, but let's pause here for a moment.
Okay, yeah, let's take a breath.
What's resonating with you so far? What questions are bubbling up for you?
We'll explore more of Rumi's insights together in just a bit. So, picking up where we left off, Rumi had this really powerful concept.
Okay, which one are you thinking of?
It's about the Arabic word la. You familiar with that one?
Oh yeah, La. It's the first word in the Islamic Declaration of Faith.
Exactly. La ilaha illallah, meaning there is no God but God.
And I know from our past deep dives, this word was super significant for Rumi, wasn't it?
Oh, absolutely. It goes way beyond a simple religious statement.
Oh, yeah.
For Rumi, la was like a key, to unlocking these profound spiritual truths.
Wow. He even compared it to a sword.
He did. A sword.
Sounds intense.
Yeah, it is. But Dr. Larijani explains it's not about actual physical violence or anything.
Okay, so what's the sword about then?
Rumi's using it as this analogy to show the power of la to cut through all the stuff that's not real.
All the falsehoods.
Yeah, and those attachments we have to the ego and the material world, la slices right through it all.
So it's like the sword clears the way, so we can directly experience the divine.
You got it. And it all ties back into Rumi's understanding of love.
Love and law.
He saw true love as recognizing that oneness, that unity that's beneath all those surface differences that we usually get hung up on.
Makes me think of like a mirror.
A mirror.
Yeah, reflecting everything, but it doesn't change itself.
It just shows what I like that.
And for Rumi, the Prophet Muhammad really embodied this kind of pure, selfless love.
Oh, absolutely. Dr. Dinani even brings up this phrase from the Quran, "If not for you, I would not have created the heavens." Powerful stuff, right?
Yeah, there's that suggestion of this really deep connection between God and Muhammad.
Deep and unique, yeah. Rumi saw Muhammad as this perfect model.
A model for what?
For love, compassion, and total surrender to the divine will.
Surrender's a big theme for Rumi, for sure. But he wasn't all about blind faith either, was he?
No, not at all. He actually challenges our reliance on pure reason as the only way to understand things.
I'm thinking of that line, something like, "From now on, I must become mad. I must strike the hand of reason." That one always gets me.
Oh, I know, right?
Yeah,
It's
right.
pretty radical.
It does. But I don't think Rumi's saying we should just embrace chaos, is he?
Right. Dr. Larijani's point is that Rumi's acknowledging the limits of the rational mind.
Especially when we're trying to understand these huge mysteries like love and the divine.
It's like trying to solve an emotional problem using only logic. Doesn't quite work, does it?
Not really, no.
Yeah.
You need something more than that. Intuition, empathy, even a little bit of that divine madness.
He's encouraging us to step outside those boundaries we create with our thinking.
And embrace the mystery.
Exactly. All that wonder that lies beyond what our intellect can grasp. Remember, sell your cleverness and buy bewilderment.
Oh man, that's a good one. But it can be kind of scary, can't it?
Oh, yeah, totally. Letting go of that need to control everything, to have it all figured out.
But there's also this excitement in letting go.
It's in that surrender, that trust in something bigger than ourselves, where real love can bloom.
Love as surrender. Interesting. Rumi also had a lot to say about the more challenging side of love, didn't he?
He did. Remember that image of love as this fire?
The one that consumes everything except the beloved.
That's the one. Powerful stuff, huh?
It's really powerful.
Hmm.
How would you interpret that image?
Well, to me it suggests that love has this refining quality, burning away all the impurities that keep us separate.
The stuff that gets in the way of real connection?
Exactly. Our ego, our selfish desires, those attachments to material things.
So this kind of love, is it only for mystics like Rumi? People who dedicate their whole lives to the spiritual path?
That's a great question. And thankfully, no. Rumi believed this kind of love is for everyone.
Phew, that's a relief.
It's not about, achieving this superhuman state or withdrawing from the world.
So I don't have to become a hermit and meditate in a cave.
No, not at all. It's about consciously making that choice to open our hearts
Open our hearts to...
to something bigger than ourselves and to realize the beloved, the divine,
Yeah.
it's present in every single moment.
It sounds so simple when you say it like that.
It does, doesn't it? But I think we both know it's a lot harder in practice.
How do we actually cultivate that kind of awareness, that openness in our everyday lives?
Well, Dr. Dhanani uses this great metaphor. He talks about polishing the mirror of the heart.
Oh, I love that image.
Pretty vivid, right?
Yeah, but what does it actually mean to polish the mirror of our heart?
Well, it's about purifying our intentions, letting go of all that negativity, the resentment we hold on to.
And making space for what?
Cultivating compassion, kindness, generosity. Remember, love's not just a feeling.
Right, it's about what you do.
It's a way of being in the world.
So it sounds like this constant process, this inner work of refining ourselves.
Absolutely. And that work can take so many forms. It could be meditation, prayer, spending time in nature.
Or even just being more present in our interactions with other people.
Yeah, exactly. The key is to choose love consistently in each moment. To see that spark of the divine in everyone we meet, even when it's hard.
So it's not about these big grand gestures, but those smaller, consistent actions.
Yeah, the little things add up.
The things that nourish our hearts and then create these ripples of love that go outward.
Beautifully put. It's about putting more love out there, and it starts with ourselves.
And even the smallest act of kindness can have a huge impact, right?
Oh, absolutely. Not just on others, but on our own hearts, too.
It's amazing how Rumi takes these huge spiritual concepts and brings them down to earth,
He really does. He never lets us forget that there's more to reality than what we see on the surface, more to life than what our minds can grasp.
Which brings us back to selling your cleverness.
Ah, yes. And buying bewilderment.
Dr. Larijani was saying it's about recognizing those limitations of our logical mind.
Especially when we're trying to make sense of love and the divine.
Like that saying, the heart has its reasons that reason knows nothing about.
Exactly. Rumi wants us to tap into that deeper wisdom, the wisdom of the heart.
To embrace the unknown, to let go of that need for control.
And step into that space of awe and wonder.
That's where true love can really take root and blossom.
It's about letting go of all those ideas about how things should be, and just allowing ourselves to be surprised by the beauty, by the mystery of it all.
I'm also thinking about how Rumi talks about love and suffering, how those two are connected.
Oh, yeah. He doesn't shy away from that, does he?
There's that one line that always hits me hard. The wound is the place where the light enters you. Powerful stuff.
So powerful. It's like he's acknowledging that suffering, it's just part of life. You can't escape it.
But it doesn't stop there, does it?
No, it's not about seeking out pain, of course. But when it does come, Rumi's suggesting it can be this catalyst.
A catalyst for what?
For growth, for transformation. Those cracks, those vulnerabilities we have, they can become these entry points.
Entry points
for deeper compassion, for wisdom.
It's like that saying, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. But Rumi's taking it a step further.
He's saying those wounds can become sources of light, of real deep insight.
And that light, that wisdom, it's fueled by love.
Love is what guides us through those dark times. It helps us heal. And ultimately, it transforms us.
So even when we're going through heartbreak, loss, love is still there doing its work.
Always. And the scholars, they really emphasize the importance of surrender in those moments.
Surrender to?
Surrendering to what is, accepting things as they are, allowing ourselves to feel the pain, but without resisting it.
Letting go of that fight. Trusting that even in the darkness, there's a light guiding us.
A love that will never abandon us.
Okay, so we've been talking about love in these mystical, spiritual terms. Yeah. But how do Rumi's ideas apply to everyday relationships?
The real world stuff.
Exactly. Our connections with our friends, family, partners.
Those relationships that can be, let's be honest, pretty messy sometimes.
How do we bring that surrender, that openness to love into those relationships?
Well, Dr. Dhanani's point is that the same principles apply whether we're talking about our love for God or for humanity as a whole or for one specific person.
So it's all connected.
It's all part of this bigger web of love. woven through all of creation.
But like you said, relationships are messy. There's conflict, disagreements. How do we navigate all that through the lens of Rumi's teachings?
It's easy to talk about love and unity, right? But putting it into practice when things get tough, that's the real challenge.
Yeah, it's one thing to talk the talk. Walking the walk is a lot harder.
But Rumi, he doesn't shy away from that messiness. He embraces it.
He does.
Yeah, he sees those challenges as opportunity.
Opportunities
For growth, for deepening our compassion and understanding.
So it's not about avoiding conflict altogether.
No, not at all. It's about how we approach it. Can we approach it in a way that actually makes the connection stronger?
So how do we do that?
Well, the scholars are saying it takes a willingness to see things from the other person's point of view, to practice empathy, forgiveness.
Letting go of the need to always be right.
Exactly. It's about communicating honestly and openly, even when it's hard. It's about bringing that same surrender, that openness, into each interaction.
So this goes for all relationships, not just romantic ones. It's about opening our hearts to all kinds of love.
Beautifully said. And you know, Rumi's message is so powerful, especially in the world we live in today, with all the division, the isolation.
Yeah, he's reminding us that we're all part of something bigger.
That love is the force that binds us all together.
You know, Rumi also uses the metaphor of the reed flute.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one. To represent the human soul, it's like we're separated from our source, longing to return.
And he says it's through love, through that surrender to the divine, that we find our way back.
It's a journey home, but not in a literal sense. It's about peeling back all those layers.
The layers of us.
All the stuff that keeps us from seeing our true nature, our connection to something bigger than ourselves.
And Rumi's poetry, it evokes that yearning, that longing for so many people.
It's a reminder that we're not alone in this, that there's a love that's always calling us back, a melody that's always playing.
If we just open ourselves up to hear it.
That's it. Open your heart and listen.
Rumi's work is so rich, so full of these layers, and this is just episode 20. We've got 20 more to go.
Can't wait to see where this journey takes us.
But for now, think about what resonated most with you today. What insights, what questions are you taking with you?
How can you bring a little bit of Rumi's radical love into your own life? Think about that.
We'll be back next time to dive even deeper into Rumi's world.
Until then, keep those hearts open and those minds bewildered.